Okay, because a car coil, for instance, doesn't use very much current at all, does it? Or many watts, whatever. It's using milliamps. And yet you're able to produce an explosion, or actually in his case he's welding, because he says that the electrode on the spark plug is being welded by this. Okay, so what do you call that? I mean, is that over unity or what? If you're able to take milliamps of current and produce that kind of heat, that kind of...
You're trading amperage for high voltage, which is going to get the coil.
Okay.
And the voltage coming out of that coil could be around 55,000. Most of these cell coils and stuff are all around 55,000 volts.
Yes. So with the use of capacitors or whatever, I think Bob would be more qualified to speak on this. What's able to be done electronically. I don't claim to know anything about anything, but I do know that these are emerging things that are rapidly becoming known through the free cooperation, free release of information, such as we're having here today. This is an excellent example of something quite different from a normal trade show, where people go to a trade show in order to sell their product, to promote their company. And there are people who are selling things too, and nobody minds that, because, you know, many of us are more inclined to buy something than we are to build it ourselves. So there's nothing wrong with anyone selling a product, but the general purpose of this event is to freely share information. So if someone wants to build something themselves, people aren't hiding anything here. They're here to explain how this works, and we all realize that that's the only way this kind of technology is going to become mainstream, is by us basically shaming the existing industrial world into catching up with us, because they're not doing it. And so we're saying, here we are doing it. And in fact, GM, the head of GM just said this last week. He said, how is it that these nerds out in California are producing a battery-powered car and we're not? You know, he said, if they can do it, we can do it. Well, they already have done it with the EV1, and they crushed it. So if you get enough nerds doing this, then the mainstream corporate world, manufacturing world is going to have to catch up, because they don't want to have us selling our products and them not, right? So a superior technology, the cream is going to rise to the top, and it's going to have to be accepted, as long as there are people like us doing what we're doing. And now, last night I was watching TV in my hotel room, and there was an advertisement for a device that you plug in the wall, and it says that it turns your whole house wiring system into an anti-vermin device.
Doesn't work. I have 2 of them.
Okay, but I happen to know some background on this invention, because I'm from San Diego, California, and there was an old eccentric tinkerer, inventor, surrounded by a bunch of junk, sort of like a lot of the people here, right? Who he was playing around with a guitar amplifier, and he wired it up wrong, or an electric guitar, he wired it wrong, and it produced some frequencies that caused all the vermin in his house to go scurrying around. So even though yours may not work, in his case, he actually discovered a frequency that caused roaches and even mammals to go scurrying.
They have them for sale. They're for sale.
Yeah. So he called it Amigo, ants, mice, and gophers. But, I mean, that's an example of something. Now, this goes back over 20 years. It may have been 30 years ago this guy discovered this by accident. Well, now here's an infomercial on TV offering a device that you just plug in. But again, what does it involve? Some kind of pulse frequency.
Sounds.
Yeah, and it's being superimposed over the house wiring, right? So, how's that? Yeah, it's an EMF. Okay. Which again, in the ad, this infomercial, they were saying, why do you want to introduce poisons into your house? These chemicals. You know? Well, the same is true with our automobiles. The same is true with our bodies. It's all related. There's industries out there that want us to buy their poison, regardless of what effect it has on our bodies or what effect it has on the biosphere of this planet. They want to sell their poison, whether it's fuel, whether it's pharmaceuticals, whether it's pesticides, whether it's fertilizers. And you know, why is that ocean out there dying? It's because of those products. Those products are washing out of our bodies and out of our vehicles and out of our fields, and they're all washing through the creeks and rivers, and they're ending up right out there. And that thing right there is vital to our lives, right? This planet cannot support life if that ocean isn't healthy. And the main thing that's poisoning that ocean is our chemicals, our fuels, our pharmaceuticals. Has anyone heard about what the water now, the drinking water has in it? Pharmaceuticals. Okay? There's enough pharmaceuticals in the drinking water that you don't even need to take pharmaceuticals anymore. All you need to do is drink the water. So, and again, what does it have to do? It's all petrochemical, it's all somebody making money on a product that, like in the case of my brown recluse bite, well, they don't even offer anything for that anyway. But if they did, it would be unnecessary if you just shock yourself a few times. Yeah. So, obviously there are medicines that are needed, there are fuels that are needed, there are pesticides and fertilizers that are needed. But the fact is, we live in a world that's pushing these things, even though the evidence is already in that these things are going to basically end life on this planet, or at least life as we know it, if we don't curb their use. So even though a lot of us are here for the reason that we'd like to save money on fuel, you know, we can't afford to heat our house, we can't afford to drive to work, and so on. At the same time, the higher motive or purpose for being here and promoting advanced technology is to save the flora and fauna of this planet from the destruction that is evidently coming. It's happening now, it's getting worse, and even though there's been some efforts to curb the carbon footprint and things like this, it's not enough. And it's the kind of thing where if we produce superior products through innovation that happens in a basement or a garage or even on a kitchen table, and those products save people money, and they are doable and they're available, then the cream is going to rise to the top, and these other products that are polluting and expensive and unnecessary are going to end up becoming obsolete, just like your old typewriter. You know, who has a typewriter anymore? It's gone, right? You can't find a typewriter ribbon anymore at Walmart, right? So that's the way a lot of these other products should go the way of the typewriter, basically, right? And there should be a memory. So, but there. I'm sorry? Having him in our midst, he's brought some things to show, and he's got some information to share. He's got some information he can't share because some of it is proprietary, but he is able to talk about a booster device that he's brought here. So following Bob's presentation of information, we'll have several others who are here as presenters, and hopefully be able to give a wide range of information about what's here for those who weren't able to make it.